So retired Judge Albie Sachs says this is not the society that he and other activists fought for. He believes that so much has been achieved since the dawn of democracy, but corruption may actually undo all of that. Now, the finance minister tabled his budget yesterday, announcing various funding measures for some of the most pressing challenges in the country, especially those set to address social issues. Justice Sachs joins us now via our video link for more on his thoughts. And it's great to have you on the program. Thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. Full disclosure, we're also speaking to you on the back of the address that you essentially delivered at the 4th Annual Social Justice Lecture at Stellenbosch University, where part of the theme asks the question around whether this society is a society we fought for. I'd like to direct that question straight to you.
I'm going to interrupt you. You've left out an extremely important element. The question I asked myself in front of the audience, a wonderful audience at Stellenbosch University, was, is this the country we were fighting for? And people look at me, they see my arm was blown away by an apartheid bomb. They know I was in prison. I was stateless for many years, subjected to solitary confinement and sleep deprivation. And they say, Albie, is this the country you were fighting for? And I said, yes, this is the country I was fighting for, but it's not the society I was fighting for.
Right.
That's very, very important emphasis. So the country gives us institutions. It gives us the vote. It gives us the right to speak. It gives you the right to ask me hard questions and me the right to answer hard questions. So please, start with, I'm not one of those who feel that somehow South Africa is letting me down, that I put in so much. I'm very proud of South Africa. I'm proud of our institutions. I'm proud of our freedom of speech. I'm proud of journalists who do wonderful investigative journalists. I'm proud of our whistleblowers. And I feel we are the majority in this country, by we, the people who want a decent, honest, well-functioning society. We are the majority. We've got the institutions. We fought hard for the institutions. We fought hard for a country, South Africa. Then, having said all that, we see our society. We have massive unemployment. We have corruption. We have gender-based violence. We have criminality beyond any tolerable acceptability. So many things. I could go on and on and on. So we've got to use the country to deal with the society. If we give up on the country, then we've had it. So excuse me for rephrasing the question put to me. Maybe I'm used to as a judge sitting up there and dictating the mode of the converse. So anyway, let's take it from there.
Sure, no problem. Who am I to push back against that? But it's an interesting distinction that you're making between country and society, because in many instances, those of us who feel disillusioned in this country feel like those two things collide at some stage.
Yes, they collide and not collapse, and that's the important thing. We fought hard for the country. It was such a hard fight, and there were millions and millions of people, and it went over generations. And we got a country where people predicted a bloodbath, impossibility of people of different races, backgrounds, cultures, languages living together in one country. We got that. We've had 6 general elections, free and fair. We've got a strong, independent judiciary, marvelous colleagues on the Constitutional Court. We've got so many things that are positive, and I enjoy, for example, Newzroom. You know, you're a new broadcasting outfit. You pose tough questions. You've got strong journalists. These are the things that give me courage and give me hope and optimism.
Sure. There's something to be said, nonetheless, around how far that can go, right? Reasonably speaking, I think any person will reach a point where they feel they have no much or they don't have much hope to give anymore. I wonder, in that context, what you ought should be done first to try and ensure that at least there isn't a worst-case scenario outcome. Because part of what's being stressed, at least in the commentariat, is that we are on the brink, if not completely over the edge, when it comes to being able to take us back to some of those fundamental values that you say still make you very proud of this country.
Well, you know, I think part of the reason we're so alarmed is there's so much evidence of wrongdoing. But that's the point for me. That's what gives me courage. We know about it. It's exposed. It's not taken for granted. You know, I was in Kenya on the Judges and Magistrates Vetting Board for 15 months with a very harsh, very difficult, complicated job. I was a Commonwealth judge together with 2 other Commonwealth judges, 3 Kenyan lawyers and 3 Kenyan lay people. And we were examining the judiciary there. The judiciary had become so entangled with power. The top judges, the most brilliant judges, turned out to be often the most wicked, twisting the law to keep incumbents in power. And the Kenyan people in the end said, no, enough already. We're getting a new constitution, and we've got to get rid of the judges who are twisting and bending the law in that way. And I sat on that commission, and I saw what had happened there. I'm in a country now today where we have a judiciary that is strong, that's independent, that's willing to stand up to presidents, starting with Mandela, who accepted very graciously, starting with Thabo Mbeki, who was very unhappy with our decision in the People Action Campaign, but accepted it. We're going on to President Jacob Zuma, who accepted the Nkandla decision and then was very unhappy with being sent to jail afterwards. So we've got these strong, independent bodies functioning in the country, and with the support of the great majority of the people, and with people in the governing party themselves aligning themselves very, very strongly with the changes. Now these are the things that give me courage and hope. I don't feel we're teetering on the edge of I've spent my whole life saying we're teetering on the edge of an explosion, a keg of explosion. The masses are going to rise up. The masses at times have been extremely angry, but the country is still functioning. And we're not going over the edge. We are pulling in. We're pulling in the reins. People are speaking out. It's more than the commentariat. Ordinary people in everyday conversation are saying enough already in relation to a lot of the ugly features of life in South Africa.
Yeah. You speak about the signs of these social ills that are so glaring, as it were. Many will tell you that the energy crisis is one of those signs, and the fact that we're lucky to even be able to speak to you without a fault in our connection, because seemingly you do have power at this hour. In the latest development yesterday, we heard of Andre de Ruyter leaving with immediate effect. That's obviously going to also lead to all kinds of speculation and conjecture about what's actually happening at Eskom. I'm asking this question because many people point to Eskom as just one of those signs of how terribly things have gone wrong. What's your view around Andre de Ruyter leaving as abruptly as he has, given what he said in public and what's been said about him?
I'm not going to express any views on that, please. You know, I'm dealing with institutions, not personalities. I'm dealing with currents and trends, it's painful to see that somebody who put his energies and heart and soul on the line in very difficult circumstances is feeling very crushed and very angry now. But I won't comment on the content of what he's saying. These are issues, we all feel it. I can't really say that the outages and so on affect everybody equally. They affect everybody. Wealthier people can get by, they can manage and so on. It's very unequal. But I think the one thing that the Eskom debacle has done has really brought the whole nation into the question of how can we do better, the whole nation. And my big wish is we can find that process of the whole nation now, not bickering and scoring points and fighting for electoral advantage, but the whole nation in the way we did at the Constitutional Assembly, coming together to find the best way forward to overcome what has been and is a continuing debacle.
Yeah, the budget speech was delivered yesterday. Some money set aside for Eskom, some more money set aside for the social relief of distress grant. As far as you're concerned, is that the budget taking us in that right direction?
I absolutely refuse as a former judge to comment on the budget, please. There's a separation of powers. That's an issue for the political people, for the social people, and so on. I want to comment on the institutions. I want to comment also on looking back on the lives of those of us who fought for freedom, and there are lots of us, not the great majority, are not well-known figures, well-known personalities, and so on. And I think most of us feel overwhelmingly We achieved a huge accomplishment. We got a country. We got an open society. It's not a fair society. It's not an equal, an open society. We've now got to use the country that we've got to deal with the social ills that we have.
Retired Judge Albie Sachs, that's the time we have this morning. Thanks very much indeed for weighing in on what you feel you can. I appreciate your time on the AM Report.